Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and demystify exactly how you go about replacing a lost car title in the great state of South Dakota. Look, it's a highly practical but notoriously frustrating situation to find yourself in. And honestly, if you don't handle it the right way, it's gonna cost you some serious time and money.
Picture this for a second. You've got a buyer lined up for your old truck, or maybe you're finally heading down to the dealership to trade in that sedan for a sweet upgrade. You go to your filing cabinet, you pull out your vehicle folder and nothing. Zilch. Losing your vehicle's title can trigger a massive headache, leaving you asking yourself, okay, what do I do now? And perhaps more importantly, how long is this whole thing going to take?
So the crucial point here is that without this document, your vehicle is essentially frozen in bureaucratic limbo. I mean, the title is literally the ultimate legal proof of your ownership. Without that physical piece of paper, you are completely paralyzed. You can't legally sell the car to a private party, you can't trade it in at a dealership, and you definitely can't easily prove ownership if some kind of dispute pops up. This is exactly why resolving this promptly is absolutely vital. You really don't want to wait until the day before a big sale to realize you're missing this critical document.
For our agenda today, we're going to follow a really clear roadmap. We'll cover the first steps, gathering your documents, the application process, fees and timelines, overcoming some common hurdles, and finally, resources and final tips. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the first steps, where we assess your situation. Now, before you go and fill out a single form, we need to figure out if your title is actually truly lost. You know, if you're still making payments on your car, you likely don't even have a paper title to lose in the first place. South Dakota uses what's called an electronic lien and title system, or ELT for short. This system was set up to reduce all that paper handling and storage for lending institutions. Under state law, if there's an active security interest or lien on your vehicle's record, the state just records the title electronically. No physical paper copy is ever printed or mailed out to you. Because of this, you actually can't apply for or receive a duplicate paper title if your vehicle has an active ELT lien holder. That title is tucked safely away in the state's digital system until your loan is fully paid off, and only then is a physical title generated.
Another really vital step right at the beginning is checking the jurisdiction of your missing title. If your lost title was issued in a completely different state before you moved to South Dakota, well, state authorities here are legally prohibited from replacing it. So, for example, say you moved from Minnesota and lost your Minnesota title before you ever registered the car in South Dakota, you can't get a duplicate here. You absolutely must contact your previous state's motor vehicle agency first, get a duplicate from them, and then bring that out-of-state duplicate to your South Dakota County Treasurer to transfer it over.
Moving right along to Section 2, gathering your documents and exactly what you need to prepare.
Okay, so if you've confirmed you do indeed need a paper duplicate from South Dakota, meaning, no active liens and the car was last titled in the state, precision is totally key here. The exact document you're going to need is Form 1002, which is formally called the Duplicate Title Application. This single page is literally the cornerstone of this entire process. And a quick heads up, while some older guides or third-party websites might occasionally mention outdated form codes like Form MV010, Form 1012 is the current, standardized document required by the South Dakota Department of Revenue. You can grab it and print it directly from the state's official website.
When you have the form, you'll need to fill it out with absolute precision. The state needs your vehicle identification number, or VIN, plus the year, make, model, and weight of the vehicle. You've got to provide your legal name exactly as it appeared on the original title, your current address, and either your social security number or your South Dakota driver's license number. Oh, and pay really close attention to this detail. If your vehicle or motorcycle is less than 20 years old, you must include the current odometer reading on the application. And please, no crossouts, whiteout, or messy alterations on this document, or they might just void the whole thing. So take your time and write clearly.
All right, Section 3, the application process and how to submit your paperwork.
Before you actually hand this in, remember, only the owner of record can apply. If you've got someone else handling this for you, they need proper authorization, and that form is likely going to need to be signed in front of a notary public with their official seal. Now, when it's time to actually submit, you have two pretty convenient pathways. The first is just walking right into your local county treasurer's office. Honestly, this is the most highly recommended method because the clerks there can verify your paperwork right on the spot, making absolutely sure you haven't missed any crucial signatures or checkboxes. The second option is to mail it directly to the Motor Vehicle Division Duplicate Title Section located at 4x5 East Capitol Avenue in Pierre. Just keep in mind, if you choose the mail route, processing is inherently going to take a bit longer just due to postal transit.
Let's look at Section 4, Fees and Timelines, getting into the costs and expectations.
Well, bureaucracy usually isn't free, right? But fortunately, South Dakota keeps this particular process really reasonable. The state mandates a very specific and quite affordable $10 statutory fee for this duplicate title. This $10 fee is dictated by state codified law, and it's neatly split right down the middle. $5 goes into the state motor vehicle fund, and the other $5 goes straight into your local county general fund.
When you actually go to pay this $10 fee, you've got plenty of options, especially if you're paying in person at the treasurer's office. You can use cash, a check, a money order, or a cashier's check. Just note they generally will not accept counter, starter, or out-of-state checks. If you're more of a plastic person, Visa, MasterCard Discover, and American Express are all good to go. However, and this is important, be aware that using a credit or debit card is going to tag on a small 2% service charge to your total.
As for the timeline, a standard processing time usually takes about 5 to 10 business days once they actually receive your application. But it's super important to note that the South Dakota Department of Revenue is currently going through a massive system-wide transition to its next-generation title and registration system. It's a modernization project they call 605 Drive. And while this is incredibly exciting for the future of paperless transactions, you know how system transitions can be, they can occasionally impact processing times. So always give yourself a comfortable buffer of a couple of weeks if you're planning an impending sale. Now, if you are in a massive rush, some counties do offer an expedited service for an additional $25 administrative fee, but you're definitely going to want to check with your specific local treasurer to confirm if they offer that.
Okay, Section 5, Overcoming Common Hurdles and Avoiding Those Pesky Bureaucratic Traps.
Let's look at a few pitfalls that can trip up even the most prepared folks out there. The first is a really crucial number, 45. Let's say you just bought a used car from a private seller. They signed the paper title over to you, but before you could get down to the treasurer's office to officially transfer it into your name, you lost it. In South Dakota, you only have 45 days from the exact date of purchase to transfer a title. If you go past this 45-day window while you're scrambling to sort out a lost, signed-over title with the previous owner, you are going to start getting hit with a penalty of $1 per week for up to 26 weeks. After that, a flat $50 penalty gets slapped on, plus interest on your vehicle excise tax. So yeah, time is definitely of the essence.
Here's another tiny little detail that causes major rejections: the difference between the words and or. If there are multiple owners listed on the vehicle's record, say a husband and wife, look really closely at how those names are connected. If the names are connected by the word and, South Dakota law strictly requires that all listed owners must sign the duplicate title application, no exceptions. But if they're connected by the word or, then only one owner's signature is needed to process the request. Just make absolutely sure you get all the required signatures before you go stand in line. Finally, Section 6, Resources and Final Tips, where you can get help. To wrap up this explainer, let's review exactly where you can turn if you run into a unique situation, because, let's face it, bureaucracy always has those weird edge cases. Without a doubt, your local county treasurer is your absolute best friend in this entire process. They handle these exact forms every single day and can instantly spot an error. Now, if you have a really specific edge case, like maybe a deceased owner or some super complex lien issue, the South Dakota Motor Vehicles Division hotline in Pierre is incredibly helpful. You can also find all the necessary forms, including that all-important Form 1002, directly on the Department of Revenue website. And hey, keep an eye out for the full rollout of that 605 Drive online portal we mentioned. It promises to make managing all your vehicle documentation increasingly seamless in the coming years. Now for a quick disclaimer. As with all bureaucratic procedures, it is super important to remember that regulations, required forms, and statutory fees can and do change over time. Therefore, we highly advise that you always verify the latest information directly through official South Dakota government channels, like your county treasurer, before you submit any payment. And if you're dealing with really complex inheritance issues or intense legal disputes over a vehicle, absolutely don't hesitate to consult with a legal expert. So, you now have the complete roadmap to reclaim your vehicle's documentation, from those sneaky yield checks all the way to Form 1002. But as South Dakota rolls out this cool new digital 605 Drive system, it really begs a bigger question. Are we rapidly approaching a future where physical paper titles become entirely obsolete nationwide? Or will we somehow always need that one physical piece of paper tucked away in our filing cabinets? Well, until we find out, get your paperwork in order and get back on the road.